Before you go any further, I need you to do one thing. Take a breath, let your shoulders drop, and actually be here, not half here, not one eye on the next thing, here. Because what I am about to say is not for the distracted version of you. It is for the one who is fully awake. And I think you already feel it, that something is off. Not dramatically, not catastrophically, just off. Like you are going through your days, slightly behind the glass, watching your own life from a distance, unable to quite get your hands on the thing that used to make everything feel alive. You have tried to shake it. Some days are better, but the undercurrent is still there. Here is what I want you to know. This is not random. What you are experiencing is not a character flaw, not burnout exactly, not depression exactly, though it might wear those masks. What you are experiencing is the result of a deliberate, strategic, precisely targeted operation designed specifically for people who carry the kind of calling you carry. He cannot stop you. That part is already settled. But what he can do, what he has been doing, is keep your attention fractured. Keep your energy dispersed. Keep your mind just loud enough that you cannot hear the instruction underneath the noise. A trap has been set, chosen one. And for the next hour, we are going to dismantle it together, layer by layer, until you see it so clearly it loses every ounce of its power. Don't look away. Before we go deeper, I want to tell you what you are going to walk away with by the end of this. You will know exactly how this trap works, why it was designed for someone with your specific wiring, and 3 tools to start dismantling it today. One of those tools involves something scientists discovered about how your brain was built from birth, and why that same design makes you more vulnerable to distraction than almost anyone around you. Stay until the end. This is not a message you want to catch halfway through. Let me take you somewhere first. It is late evening. The kind of evening where the day has technically ended, but your mind has not received the message. You are sitting somewhere quiet, maybe on the edge of your bed, maybe in a chair near a window, and outside, the world is doing what it always does, moving, going, carrying on without asking your permission. A car's headlights sweep across the wall and disappear. Somewhere nearby, someone is laughing. Life is out there, the way it always is, and you are pressing your forehead against the cold of the window and watching it, not quite inside your own moment, present in the way that a photograph is present there, technically, but not breathing. You scroll through your phone and realize there is no one you can actually call who would understand what you are trying to say. Not because the people in your life are bad people, just because what you are feeling does not have clean words yet. It is more like a frequency, a low, persistent hum underneath everything else, the kind of thing that does not announce itself loudly, but is always there, like a door left slightly open in a quiet room. And the thought that keeps coming back soft but insistent is this: I used to feel more alive than this. Not miserable, not falling apart, just absent. And that absence is its own kind of grief. Notice something with me right now. Notice how your chest has been carrying a tightness you did not consciously put there, like a breath you started and forgot to finish. Notice how your thoughts have been louder than usual lately, cycling back to the same worries, the same unresolved questions, the same conversations that replay on their own without your invitation. Notice how your spirit has felt crowded and heavy, even in the moments when nothing specific is wrong, even when the room is quiet and there is nothing demanding your attention. Your body already knows something is off. It has been trying to tell you for a while now. And here is what I need you to hear before we go any further, and I mean really hear it, not just register it. None of this is happening because you are falling apart. You are not falling apart. What you are experiencing has a cause. It has a strategy behind it, and it has been working not because you are weak, but because you are exactly the kind of person it was designed to work against. What felt like a rough season was actually a siege. What felt like distraction was actually displacement. What felt like your own wandering mind pulling you in 20 directions was actually being guided deliberately, patiently away from something that matters. That is not coincidence. That is not random. That is not accident. I have to stop and ask you something right now. When was the last time you were fully present? Not performing presence, not nodding in a conversation while your thoughts were 3 topics ahead. Not scrolling through something while also watching something else. Not being in a room with someone who matters to you while being somewhere else entirely in your spirit. Actually present, grounded, in the moment you are actually standing in. For some of you, it has been longer than you want to admit. And something in you has been quietly grieving that distance from yourself. Stay with me, because the next part is where this shifts. I said, you are being targeted, and that is not language I use casually. I am going to show you exactly why, exactly how, and what makes you specifically the kind of person this kind of operation is designed for. Because when you understand who built the trap and what they were trying to prevent, everything you have been feeling starts to make a completely different kind of sense. If you feel like you have been living behind that glass, type "I am returning" in the comments. I see you. Here is what you need to understand about yourself. You were not born with an average sensitivity. The people who carry a real calling, not a self-appointed one, but the kind that keeps showing up even when they try to put it down and walk away, they experience the world at a different frequency than most people around them. They feel more. They absorb more. Their intuition catches things that others walk right past. When they are fully operating, they are extraordinary. When they are drained, they are miserable in a way that ordinary tired does not fully explain. That depth of feeling, that capacity to hold both pain and vision at the same time, it is the same thing that makes you more susceptible to what has been happening to you. Think about Nehemiah rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem. He was surrounded by opposition, not loud, dramatic opposition, just a constant, strategic stream of discouragement and distraction designed to slow him down, delay him, make the work feel impossible, and the goal feel foolish. And what did he do? He kept one hand on the work and one hand on his weapon, not because he was afraid, because he understood exactly what was at stake. He never once pretended the enemy was not there. He never once put the weapon down. He just worked eyes, fully open, alert to both the mission and the threat to the mission, until the wall was finished. He cannot stop your calling. He cannot reach the anointing. He cannot undo what was spoken over your life before you drew your first breath. But what he can do, what he has been doing, is keep your attention divided. Keep your days full of things that matter just enough to seem urgent, but not enough to actually build anything that lasts. Keep you reacting to other people's timelines, to noise that does not belong to you, to friction in your relationships that pulls you into explaining yourself instead of moving forward. Keep you so exhausted by the volume of everything that you forget there was ever a signal underneath all of it. The intensity of the distraction is not accidental. It is proportional to what you are about to step into. The enemy does not deploy this level of sustained, patient strategy against people who pose no threat. This kind of disruption, the kind that makes you feel subtly wrong without knowing why, the kind that chips away at your clarity, one small interruption at a time, the kind that is too quiet to identify until someone names it directly. This is reserved for the ones whose full awakening would shift something significant. Your sensitivity is not a weakness, it is the design, and the opposition understands it better than most people in your life ever will. I want to do something with you right now. You do not need to move. Just stay where you are and bring your attention here. Think about the last 3 weeks, not the big moments, the daily ones. Where was your focus most of the time? What kinds of thoughts claimed the most real estate in your mind? What kept pulling you away from the things that, somewhere in your spirit, you know actually matter? This is what I call the distraction map. And every person who carries this kind of calling has 3 primary areas where the disruption consistently hits the hardest. For most chosen ones, the first is their relationships, where small conflicts get amplified into consuming ones that take weeks of energy to process. The second is their sense of purpose, where the clarity they once had about where they are going gets slowly replaced by the noise of comparison, watching where everyone else seems to be and measuring the distance. And the third is their spiritual sensitivity, where the genuine receiving connection they once had gets replaced by spiritual consumption, watching, listening, accumulating content without ever actually receiving what is being offered. You are not lacking discipline. You are being systematically redirected. And in a moment I am going to give you the tools to dismantle this. 3 specific ones. But first I have to show you the deepest layer, the one I have not named yet, the one the enemy has been guarding most carefully, because it is the one thing that, once you see it, makes the entire trap collapse. And there is something else, something I came across in a neuroscience study from Princeton Research on what happens to the brain when a very specific frequency of activity gets suppressed over time. When I read through the symptoms the scientists described, I stopped, because every single one matched what we have been talking about tonight. I am going to come back to that, because attached to that research is something practical, something that moves this conversation from awareness into actual action. But there is one more layer to this trap first, the deepest one, and that is where part 2 begins. Type "I am awake" in the comments if something just landed. When we left part 1, I said there was one more layer, the deepest one, the one that, once you see it, makes the entire trap collapse. Let us go there now. We talked about the 3 areas where the disruption hits hardest: relationships, purpose, and spiritual connection. I want you to hold those for a moment, because what I am about to say changes how you see all 3. Each of those 3 areas was not chosen randomly. The friction in your closest relationships was amplified specifically because relational conflict pulls you entirely into reaction mode, and a person in reaction mode cannot receive instruction. The comparison to where everyone else seems to be was planted specifically because comparison is the most efficient way to replace a clear vision with static. And the replacement of genuine connection with spiritual consumption was engineered specifically because you were created to receive and release, not just absorb, and a chosen one who is only taking in and never releasing becomes stagnant no matter how much they are consuming. That is not coincidence. That is not random. That is not accident. I want you to try something right now. You do not need to move. Stay exactly where you are and just bring your honest attention to this. Those 3 areas: relationships, purpose, connection. For each one, I just want you to notice, without judgment, where your energy has primarily been going. Is it going toward building or toward defending? Toward receiving something or toward consuming something? Toward moving forward or toward the exhausting loop of explaining why you are not further along? That honest look is what I call the attention audit, and it takes less than 60 seconds. But what it reveals can take much longer to sit with. Which of those 3 has been hitting you the hardest? If you feel comfortable, type the number in the comments. 1 for relationships, 2 for purpose, 3 for connection. I want to know what you are carrying. Now, the deepest layer. In the Garden of Gethsemane, the night before everything, Jesus turned to his closest people and said something that does not read like a polite suggestion when you understand what was happening around them. He said, "Watch and pray." Not try to stay awake if you feel up to it. Watch and pray the way you say something when you understand exactly what is coming and you know that the people in front of you are standing at a threshold that most people will sleep right through. And they fell asleep, not because they were bad people, because they did not fully understand the weight of the moment they were inside. In the original Greek, the word that gets translated as watch is grēgoreo. It appears more than 20 times across the New Testament. Paul uses it writing to the church in Corinth. Peter uses it in his first letter to the scattered believers. Jesus returns to it again and again, and the meaning is not gentle. Grēgoreo means to stand in full wakefulness, the wakefulness of someone who understands what they are guarding and what the cost is if they look away. It is the word you use for a soldier on the night watch, not the word you use for someone trying to be a little more present in their day. This was never a suggestion for you. This was always a command. Every day you have stayed when it would have been easier to leave. Every conversation you chose not to enter because you could feel in your spirit it was designed to drain you rather than build you. Every moment you remained grounded in yourself, even when the noise around you was at its loudest. That was not just stubbornness. That was grēgoreo. That was the watch, even when you did not have language for what you were doing. And I hear the Father saying, I did not wake you up from sleep for you to sleepwalk through the most important season of your assignment. Right now, all across the world, in every time zone, people who carry this same calling are being woken up to this same truth at this same hour. Something is being synchronized across a generation of chosen ones who were always meant to be awake at the same time. You are not an isolated case. You are part of a movement of awakening that is bigger than your individual story. Every day you have stayed. Every conversation you have protected your peace from. Every moment of stillness you have chosen over the noise. None of it was lost. All of it was building the watchman. You are awake. You are armed. You are positioned. The watchman does not abandon the wall because the night is long. They stand. And from that height, from that place of elevated perspective, they can see everything that the person on the ground cannot. The trap is visible from up here. The strategy is visible. And what was invisible to you when you were in the middle of it becomes clear when you are standing above it. That is the posture this season is asking of you. And there is one more thing I want to give you today. Something practical. Something grounded in the science I seeded at the end of part 1. Because everything we have been talking about, the scattered attention, the feeling of operating below your own capacity, the inability to fully land in your own present moment, there is a neurological mechanism underneath all of it, and knowing that changes what the solution looks like. Remember the Princeton study I mentioned, the gamma wave research. Let us go there now. The enemy does not only work through circumstances, he works through suppression. And what neuroscience has been uncovering over the past several decades is this. The human brain has a specific frequency of activity, scientists call it gamma, that is associated with peak mental clarity, sharp intuition, creative flow, and the kind of pattern recognition that makes the right decision seem obvious rather than agonizing. In children, gamma activity is naturally high. It is part of why a 6-year-old can learn a language in months, why imagination needs no invitation, why everything is possible before the world starts narrowing the frame. But researchers have a name for what happens to that capacity over time. They call it the decline effect. Beginning as early as age 7, the pressures of the modern world, the pace, the structure of formal education, the constant low-level stimulation begin to gradually suppress gamma activity. Not all at once, slowly, imperceptibly, year by year, until most adults are operating at a fraction of the cognitive and intuitive capacity they were born with. And the ones who feel that loss most acutely, the ones who carry a gap between who they were built to be and who they are currently operating as, are the ones whose gamma was naturally strongest to begin with. If you are watching this, there is a very good chance you are not average. Your gamma was higher, and that is exactly why, when the system suppressed it, you felt the distance more painfully than anyone around you could fully understand. A teacher, I heard, of 43 years old, had spent more than a decade pouring everything she had into the development of other people, described her own mind as running at 30% of its capacity. She said it was not depression, it was more like a dimming, so gradual she had not noticed, until one day she looked around and realized the light was nearly gone. She began a specific 7-minute audio protocol developed by a neuroscientist named Dr. Robert Lake, whose 34 years of research drew on studies from MIT, Harvard, Stanford, and Princeton. 3 weeks later, she did not describe a dramatic transformation. She described something quieter than that, like a dial being slowly turned back up. Ideas began arriving again. Decisions she had been delaying for months came easily in a single morning. The fog did not disappear overnight. It began to lift. I know what some of you are thinking right now. You have tried things, you have meditated, you have done the work, and something shifted. Maybe, but not the way you hoped. I want to speak honestly to that, because it matters. Meditation, done consistently over months and even years, can gradually help the brain move toward higher frequency states. But it requires sustained practice that most people cannot maintain long enough to produce lasting change. What Dr. Lake developed works through a different mechanism entirely. Brain entrainment technology uses specific frequencies embedded directly in an audio track to guide the brain into gamma without years of practice, without perfect conditions, in 7 minutes from wherever you are right now. It is not the same category of tool. The results are not comparable. To access gamma the conventional way, through clinical biofeedback therapy, you would be paying $300 per session. Home biofeedback equipment runs as high as $7,000. Even a focused meditation weekend retreat costs more than $200. Dr. Robert Lake compressed the same neurological result into a 7-minute digital audio track. The original price for that track is $49. But through the link I have placed in the pinned comment below and in the video description, it is available for $39, a price that does not exist on Amazon, on Spotify, or anywhere else on the internet. For $39 you receive the core 7-minute protocol, plus 4 additional resources at no extra cost. A version of the technology specifically calibrated for younger minds. The original book that served as the foundation for The Secret, focused specifically on financial transformation and available elsewhere for $20. A guided visualization covering the 4 areas of life that most people want to transform, and a visual reference guide to the 5 most consistent daily patterns found in people who build lives they actually want. And if you listen and feel nothing, you receive every dollar back. No conditions, no explanation required. You carry no risk. I need to say one more thing, and it is important. There are imitation versions circulating products using the name without the actual brain entrainment technology embedded inside. They are ordinary audio files. They do not contain the frequency work that produces the neurological effect. The only source for the original protocol, with the 4 bonuses and the money-back guarantee, is the link in the pinned comment and the description below. Do not search for it anywhere else. What you will find elsewhere is not the same thing. The person you are becoming has already made this decision, not because they had perfect certainty, because they understood that the right moment rarely arrives feeling completely ready. It arrives feeling right. And there is a difference. If your spirit is telling you, this is the moment, the link is where I said it is, you can investigate it quietly, without pressure, in your own time. Now, before we close, I want to bring you somewhere. You do not need to move. Stay exactly where you are. I want you to picture yourself standing on a high place, a wall, a tower, somewhere elevated, and from where you are standing, you can see the whole landscape spread out below you. Not with fear, with clarity. The same clarity we have been building toward together for the past hour. Down below, you can see the paths you have been walking. You can see the 3 areas we named the places where the disruption has been most active in your life. And from up here, from this height, they do not look threatening, they look small. They look like what they actually are. Strategies that have already lost most of their power simply because you have named them and seen them for what they are. Look at what you are holding in your hands. Awareness. That is not a small thing. That is everything. A trap that has been clearly seen cannot hold you. A strategy that has been named has already been disarmed. And the version of you that started watching at the beginning of this, the one who felt slightly behind the glass, slightly absent from their own life, that is not who is standing here right now. You are awake, you are armed, you are positioned. And I hear the Father saying, I did not call you to survive this season. I called you to move through it, eyes open, spirit aligned, fully present in the assignment I have placed in your hands. The silence was not abandonment, the delay was not rejection, the wilderness was not punishment. Every single thing that brought you to this moment was building something in you that only this kind of formation can build. And what was being built was the watchman. It was always the watchman. What was set against you has already been seen, and what has been seen cannot trap you. Go in full attention. The season ahead requires all of you. If something shifted while you were listening just now, if something in you is quieter or clearer or lighter than it was when you pressed play, that is not a coincidence. That is what it feels like when a word that was meant for you finds the place it was always meant to land. If this carried something that someone else in your life needed to hear today, the light button is below. Let it reach them. And if you are leaving here with your eyes open, if you can see the trap clearly, and you feel the ground under your feet differently than you did an hour ago, type I see it now in the comments. That is your declaration. Let it be witnessed. There is someone in your life who has been unusually quiet lately. Someone who seems fine on the surface, but has been somewhere else behind their eyes. Someone who has been showing up to their own days without really being in them, and has not been able to explain why, even to themselves. You know exactly who I am talking about. You do not need to say anything to them. Just send this, no explanation. They will understand when they get here. If these words have been finding you at the right moments, if this is not the first time something landed exactly when you needed it to stay, more is coming. And it will find you when you need it. Right now, across every time zone, chosen ones are waking up to this same truth at this same hour. You are not alone in this. You never were. Go in peace and in full attention.